back to do a little bit of work. I'm actually going to work in half-hour increments because for now, those are the only that's the only length I can use to restream if I want to put it up again. So we'll do some work here for a half hour. What you're looking at is something that I'm doing for another platform called Conquer Your Fear of First Impressions. Everybody has a fear of first impressions. People are afraid that what if they don't like me? What if I don't come across right? What if they don't see the real me? What if they think they're seeing someone else? What if I say something wrong, do something wrong? You can drive yourself crazy. So, and that also has to do with um, when you are going for job interviews or anything like that. So, what I want to do here is write an article about conquering your fears of first impressions. And so far, I've just actually started. Am I live here? I think I am. I think I am. I think I am. I'm pretty sure I am. Although I'm looking at I'm looking at the wrong thing here. Hang on. Anyway, so I want to do something that helps people get over their fear of first impressions, and that is the article that I am writing. Hmm. Hang on a second. So, I think I am live. I think therefore I am. Let's see here. I want to make sure I'm live. That would be nice. Because otherwise I'm not talking in a vacuum. Yes, I am live. Okay. So, here's the deal. So if you could help me write this, that would be nice. Um, Send me your ideas or even just type something into the chat. And let me know. Okay, so I just brought up the chat. Here we go. Okay. So now I'm bringing up the chat. So if you can think of something that would work with this type of an article, it has to be evergreen. That is, it has to be something that isn't timely, that you can read a year from now and still feel as if uh, it's as timely then as it is now. In other words, evergreen. So let me think about what I would write here. Well, apparently, I'll make it a new paragraph. I got an idea. Let's try this. Let me start ask. Let me start asking. Let me start out by asking you a question. Period. What scares you when you first meet someone? Question mark. For most people, it has to do with the fact that they don't feel as if they look their best. Period. Other people feel as if they won't come across. That doesn't sound right. Sometimes people feel that they won't come across as intelligent. Period. And actually, sometimes I pick up extraneous words. But the reason I got rid of the word that, oops, sorry about that. The reason I got rid of the word that is because I have a tendency to use it when it's not necessary. Just a little kind of quirk I have. Um, and when I see it, I take it out. You don't need that for most sentences. So the difference between saying sometimes people feel they won't come across as intelligent is the way people think. Put a comma in there. That's the way people think. But when you write it, saying sometimes people feel they won't come across as intelligent is a lot neater. It gets to the point better. Basically, it's not as clunky. I'm not gonna weigh you down with technical terms. But if you want to be a good writer, you have to learn to not use words like overuse words like that because it shows a less um, polished form of writing. Now, I tend to use it because I'm dictating, I'm using voice recognition. So I'm actually writing what I think, but I'm going to edit the draft. What I'm writing here is a draft. This is not the completed work. Also, I'll show you an idea. I did it again. Um, if I can find my cursor. There it is. Okay. Has to do with the fact that they don't feel as if they look there. Now, in this case, you might leave that in because it has to do with the fact they don't feel. How can I explain this? Um, it's funny, I've been a writer, I've never been a teacher, so being a teacher is kind of different. Um, has to do with the fact they don't feel as if they look their best, is the way you might say it. But in the written word, has to do with the fact that they don't feel. That is modifying the word fact. So it's pretty much your discretion. Now, you will notice, just don't overuse the word that. You'll notice that don't has a line under it. Let's see why they say that. Okay. They're saying in formal writing, try spelling out the word. But the fact is, this is informal writing. In fact, this is very informal writing. The way, okay, too much information. There we go. This article is being written as if I'm speaking with someone. It's not meant to be a formal document. So in this case, I'm going to leave in the contraction don't. Now, the funny thing is, in my book, The Year of My Life, BR.com, my science fiction book, the writer speaks with contractions. The alien, who's his quote unquote partner, does not. So she will not, Victoria will never say don't. She will always say do not, because that is the way she views the English language. So she will never speak. She wouldn't say up here, there we go, up here I have dozens. She wouldn't say, but it doesn't have to be that way. She would say, but it does not have to be that way. She speaks very formally. She doesn't understand contractions. She is basically the internet in human form. So basically, she's a computer cloud in human form. So she wouldn't do that, which is good. That's one of the things that separates that character from other characters, is that she doesn't speak with contractions. Now, it's funny because after I started doing that, I thought back to I happened to, just by accident, be watching an episode of a really old television show from the 60s. It was called I Dream of Jeannie, and it dealt with a genie who was found on a desert island by an astronaut after his capsule failed and he had to ditch in the ocean. A little far-fetched, but it took a while to find him. And it took her help. But here's the thing, I never realized at the time until I watched the show, and I watched another episode just to make sure. She never spoke in contractions. She spoke like my character speaks in my book. I don't think I ever remember. I scrutinized those two episodes, and I can watch more, but I think I would find the same thing. She never spoke in contractions. That created the separation between her being just a human and her being a genie. So it made those two things separate. Humans spoke with contractions. The genies did not. They spoke. They never used contractions. So there's that. And so, I mean, I use it to move the book, to accentuate the character in the book. But depending on the writing you're doing, such as what I'm writing now, which is informal, it's not a formal paper, it's not a report. If I were writing a report for somebody, or writing a report for school, or whatever, or a formal essay, I would not use contractions. But this is very informal writing, and because of that, I do use contractions. Because I want the reader to feel comfortable. I want the reader to identify with what I'm writing. So there's that. Um, anyway, that's why that's a long way of saying why I use contractions, and why you can use them too under certain circumstances, but not under all circumstances. I hope that makes sense. So, let's see, where are we now? So, for most people, it has to do with the fact that they don't feel as if they look their best. Sometimes people feel they won't come across as intelligent. Let's see, what else? What would be another reason for not feeling comfortable when you first meet someone? I know. Finally, comma, some people just feel uncomfortable meeting someone new. Period. Their reasons may have to do with the first two that we mentioned. Let me correct that. Two reasons that were mentioned, or may be for some other reason totally out of their control. Period. For instance, comma, there could be a physical attribute that makes them feel uncomfortable. period. Because they believe that physical attribute will make someone else feel uncomfortable, period. I can identify with this, but I can't relate to it, period. I walk with crutches, period. Now, comma, I understand that people will have a preconceived idea of who or what I am just by seeing me walk, period. They may not even realize that these preconceived ideas are there, period, comma, but they are, period. We all have preconceived ideas based on physical attributes, period. Those attributes may not even be something you see, period. They can also be something you hear, period. Because of television and movies, comma, accentuating a characteristic in order to move a character, define a character, create a move a plot forward comma, we sometimes believe a characteristic is true even though it is not. Period. Take someone speaking with a very strong southern drawl, comma. That person could have a PhD in nuclear physics, comma. But because of our conditioning from external sources, comma, we immediately consider that person to be of a lesser intelligence. Period. I am I'm going to stop this stream now, but I'll be back in about 10 seconds. I just want to keep the streams at 30 minutes or less. So hang in there. I'll be right back.